they'll take everybody's time to have a conversation about the
Please have your seats. It's 5:30. We're going to get started. Patrick, could you close the back door, please? Thank you. Good evening. We're here this evening for two meetings. One is the public hearing. The second will be the Finance Committee, all of Council. Madam Clerk.
This public hearing was called to discuss the Planning Commission's recommendation for the approval of the proposed Preliminary Development Plan, PDP 1-2026, for residential new construction that will be referred to as the cottages at Lighthouse Point, located at PPN 02-02009-101-089 and 02-02008-107-061. Kevin Hoffman, Polaris Engineering and Surveying, is the agent and applicant. Lorain City Planning Commission met on February 5th, 2026, and recommended approval of this application to the Lorain City Council. Notice of this hearing was published in a local newspaper as required by state statutes.
Thank you. Once again, welcome to the City of Lorain public hearing. Please be advised that any disruption of the City Council public hearing or committee meeting is not permitted per Ohio Revised Code 2917.12 and Council Rule 47 and Sunshine Rule number 5. Please silence your electronic equipment. Thank you. Proceed. Is Planning Commission made a recommendation, so Lighthouse Point, are you here in the house to make your presentation?
Is that better? Okay. Good evening, everybody. My name is Rob Benjamin. I am with the developers, Clarendon Chardon Real Estate Company. I'm also with Pete Falbo, who is my partner in this project, and also with Chris Joseph with Ryan Homes. We are planning to develop this site with approximately 114 ranches. They would have two connected, so it would be duplex ranches with full basements. And this is a product that has been very popular as the population is aging in the area, not in all Northeast Ohio. We've built this successfully in other areas, and we feel very comfortable that this would be a successful project in the area here. Chris also has some plans and elevations of the homes, if you'd like to see them. And we can answer any questions at this point.
Sure.
One thing I will mention, we will have an
Chris?
Yes.
Before you do that, take it over close to the council so they could see it, please. If you could put it up on the ledge there, hold it. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. And the floor plans are on the back as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you want to describe those a little bit, or?
Yeah. So we will be offering two different paired villas, so two duplex ranch units. One will be called the Caicos, which you see here. Each unit's about 1,503 square feet of finished space without the basement. The Barbados Isle is 1,369 square feet without the finished basement. Both are about 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, with options as well. Rear covered porches, extensions, room changes, a lot of different options can be added, but base, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, with potential for a third full bath in the basement.
Do you have a price point on those?
Yeah, the Caicos will start at 329, and the Barbados will start at 305.
And you've used these models on other projects, other developments?
We have. Yeah, they're not they're an age targeted, so they won't be age restricted. We'll market towards a 55 and older client, buyer, but we will not restrict age. But we've seen this work well in a multitude of different markets. We haven't done it yet on the west side of Cleveland.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll open it up to council. Ms. Frangowski?
Yes, as chairperson of Building and Lands, I've been in attendance at these meetings with the Planning Commission, and the concerns that we were getting were the ingress and the egress because there only appeared to be one. I have been assured that they will be using the private road that goes in past Walmart and Kohl's, which will add to ingress and egress. There is a need for this. There is a market for this. We call them semi-detached in Europe and in Canada. So, and a lot of people are looking for that. They don't want the lawn care, have you. Now, will there be there is an HOA with this. Will these will all be individually owned? There will not be any rentals, will there?
No.
No rentals.
Be simple ownership.
Okay, single ownership, and that was the biggest concern that people were having. And I think that with allaying those fears and concerns of rentals and ingress-egress, that this is a good project going forward. And we definitely need to add into the market for this age group. The demographic indicates that this is what they want. I think this is going to be a good addition, and I am very much in support of this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, you address this, speak in the mic because we're recording it, so we can't hear you away from it.
Okay.
Okay. I know you're nodding heads, but we don't record nodding heads on a transcript. Thank you. Ms. Lorain.
Knowing the median income of this area, do you feel that you will have 100% sales?
Yes, in planning for this subdivision, we've done a lot of market research and confirmed that there's actually a high population in Lorain zip code and the surrounding zip codes to support this project and its median income. The fact that it is in a CRA zone does help. A lot of our buyers are more monthly payment sensitive and looking less at the total house cost, so that tax abatement does help this location quite a bit. And being that it's targeted towards a 55 and older buyer, we expect it to have a very little impact on the school system, which I think helps in that tax abated area as well.
Thank you.
Any other questions from council? Mr. Salas.
Through the representatives, what is the tax abatement for your particular project, percentage-wise?
I think there's an existing percentage, but I don't have the actual number confirmed here. But I think it's somewhere between 75 and 100%.
And is that for how many years?
I believe 15, but I can't say that.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
For sure.
Thank you. Yes.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Evelise Atkinson, the Planning and Zoning Administrator. So this isn't a CRA area. There's a 100% tax abatement for the total tax abatement is 15 years. There's a 100% for, I believe, 10 years, and the last 5 at 75%, so it's broken up. But there's a total period of 15 years on that tax abatement. That goes directly to the property owner that buys the property. They still pay taxes on the land. Right. However, the abatement is on the improvement, which will be the home.
Right. So I've been obviously a very, very big proponent of this whole CRA program throughout our whole city. And that whole west side of Lorain, a lot of folks came to Lorain because of the tax abatement, and I'm sure they were all under your project as well. Now, those folks who come, 55 years and older, they have disposable income, and they're going to be spending their money in the stores, and those stores are going to be employing people, and those people are going to be paying city income taxes. So it's a win-win-win for our city. And And another thing too, if these folks are working, a lot of people on the west side of Lorain, they come and they work from home. And that's like a little business, but it's in a residential home. And so there's another economic reason why this particular project will benefit the city income tax wise. So I like what I see. I like the project. Just maybe a quick little question to the developers. I would assume that if someone wanted a different look, I really think these are handsome looking homes too, what you presented today. But if someone wanted a little different look, if they wanted all siding or they wanted all stone or whatever, I'm sure you guys you have those accommodations, correct?
To an extent, yeah. They're all with slightly different. We won't put the same elevation, same colors next to one another to try to keep some differentiation between units. But to an extent, yes, colors and amount of stone, amount of siding, and type of siding can be changed.
Okay. Thank you. No further questions. Really like the project.
Thank you, Mr. Fellows. Any other council questions? If not, I'll turn it over to the public now. If there's any comments, remarks, questions, please state your name for the record and proceed.
My name is Beth Henley. I was formerly on council, so I've seen a lot of the previous presentations. In a previous life, having worked for builders and developers, I can say that this duplex-style condominium, just to clarify, is it a condominium association or homeowners? Okay. Okay, and fee simple. In my experience and the fact that they are not permitting rentals is a big thing. In my day as operations manager, salesman, whatever you want to call it, we probably built and sold over 500 of these units on the eastern or on the western end of Cuyahoga County. A very sellable product, and you'd be surprised what kind of disposable income that some of us that have worked all our lives and stuff have accumulated. So this is very viable, and it's a nice product. I like the stone. I think it will do well. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you, Ms. Henley, for your comments. Any other comments from the public? If not, I'll come back to council. Any further comments from council, questions? Mike, excuse me, Sprangowski.
Yeah, just welcome to Lorain.
Mr. Fallis.
Yeah, through the chair of the developers. Question, when do you expect to break ground, and on average, when do you think your project is completely built out?
I think if we can get approvals through city council here in the next meeting, then we would start our engineering. So that'll probably take a few months to get all that completed. Then we have to resubmit it back to everybody here, go through that process, and get our final building permits. We would love to be moving dirt later this year with the project. We'll probably do it in 2 phases because 114 lots is a lot to do in 1 phase. So we'll probably split it, into 2 different equal parts of phasing. So I would expect sales. We probably would do somewhere about 40, 35 to...
Yeah, the goal would be 48. The goal would be a minimum 48 per year. We probably wouldn't launch this product until spring, so that those who travel in the winter months are home. But I would expect 2.5 years to build out once we start construction.
Well, thank you for that information. I appreciate that.
No further questions. I would like to thank you for your presentation. Thank you for your interest in investing in Lorain. As you heard a couple council people mention economic development. Will be a bonus to the city, an asset, and we look forward to seeing you at the next meeting. It will go before the full council for approval. So we do have a majority of council here, but I haven't heard anything negative, so I would like to assume that this will be voted for positively. So thank you once again, and once again, thank you for investing in Lorain.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This public hearing is adjourned. Next, we'll have, excuse me, Ms. Carter is not available, our chairwoman, so Ms. Frangowski, our vice chair, will be chairing the meeting.
Do we, no, 5:30? Yeah. Don't keep us here longer than we have to be. Are you kidding me? Oh, my okay, I'm discressing here. We're going to call this meeting of the Finance Committee and all of Council to order. As you know, Ms. Carter could not be here, so as Vice Chair, I will be presiding over this meeting. When you come to the microphone for the public comments, we do ask that you state your name and that you direct all comments through the chair, and please stay on topic. Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Tonight we are having a discussion of continued permanent budget discussions.
Madam Auditor, do you have anything? I know that there were some questions that people had with regards to the budget, and there's been some correspondence back and forth.
Through the chair to members of council, to start with, I think we went over the general fund. We had an addition, a couple of additions that was approved by council. Same thing for the street fund for the temporary help in the summer. I only had, my main thing I wanted to get across today, water pollution control fund. We are in a deficit at this point in time, but what I want to do is I'm going to increase the revenue sources to cover that deficit at present. The reason being, I want to pass a balanced budget for this, and that will give council time to actually have a discussion regarding the actual rates that you want to change. Now, it's going to be, what I intend on doing, I'm going to increase the revenue estimates to cover the deficit, but with a caveat. 3 months from now, we're going to come back, and when we look at the revenues, and based on discussions with council as to rates, what you determine there, we can estimate what our actual revenues is going to be. If they're going to come up short, then at that point I will reduce the revenue estimates, and it will be up to council to de-appropriate funds to bring the fund into balance. So this is basically just giving you a little extension of time to actually zero in on what needs to be done to bring the fund into balance. Now, for one thing, there's the revenue estimates that are in here right now for water pollution came from Joe Carbonaro based on his estimates, and right off the bat, one of those user charges, he estimated $600,000 less than what we actually brought in 25, and that's without any rate increases. So right there I have $600,000 I'm going to be adding to the budget. And also we need to take into account the revenue sources from the OWDA loans, where we have the money encumbered, but we're not going to actually receive the money until the following year. So the money was encumbered at the end of 25, but I need to make sure that we have the revenue coming in 26 to cover those encumbrances. They're like setting aside the money ahead of time. It's like for the two or 3 year projects that they'll open a purchase order for the entire project amount at the beginning of the project. So like say if one of the like say the Yeager Road plant, it's $8 million, so they would open a PO for $8 million, even though they're not going to spend that down for 2 to 3 years in total, and everything is on a reimbursable basis. So we have to spend the money before we can request reimbursement through the loan. I know it's a lot to absorb, but this is a budget, it's an estimate, and this is a beginning point for us to work with.
And Mrs. Carter has indicated that we will be meeting monthly on this budget so that we can stay on top of it, because it is a living document, if you will. I have had some questions from members of the community that have asked about the meter account, which had been the hot topic of discussion many years ago when I first came on council, that we were putting money into and then the interest was coming into the general fund. Is that still an entity?
That is correct, because that is per Ohio Revised Code. Regardless of the source, any interest earned on any funds goes to the general fund.
And what are we using that money in the meter fund for? Is that just for future?
No, it goes toward general operations in the general fund.
Thank you.
It's dispersed to everyone.
Thank you. My concern is and has been the sustainability of this budget. When we look at these budgets, we can't just look at this year. We need to look at the next year and the year after that and so on. And it needs to be said for the public so that they're aware, and for the new people in council, this is the mayor's budget. It is what is proposed to him, and then he brings it to us, to council for appropriation. This budget is brought to council by the mayor after departments have presented their individual budget requests to him. Council only gets the final results. However, we on council get told where you voted for it. This is why it is so important that we ask these questions and we make suggestions so that when we do go to vote on this, we can make as much of an informed decision as possible. Because when you really look at it, in reality, this isn't council's budget. It's not the auditor's budget. It's not even really, truly the mayor's budget. It is our budget. And we all have to work together to get it right. You know, another consideration has been this shortfall in the sewer funds and the issue of contract negotiations that are currently taking place. So with the resolution of the sewer fund shortfall, now we just have to take a look at the contract negotiations, hence we will be having the monthly meetings. So just get ready to be in that seat every Monday for the rest of your life. Does anybody from council have any questions or comments? Mr. Fallis.
Through the chair to Anita, as soon as you can you provide us, we have a $2.7 million deficit in the water pollution control account, right?
Correct.
And so you said you're aware of $600,000 that we can use to offset that. Then you also said that...
For one, yes.
So as part of that, right?
Yeah, that's not even counting any rate increases.
I understand. Let me keep going. So then there's some money that we can apply for OWDA. That's future money that we're going to get in, but we're not going to be able to use it this year. Is that what you just said to me?
No. Okay, at the end of 25, we had over $6 million encumbered for OWDA projects.
Got it.
Those are loans that have already been approved by council. The process has already been approved by the state, so we have to make sure we have the revenue in the current year budget to cover those prior year encumbrances.
Got it. So of that $6,813,000 that's been encumbered, how much of that money will actually be spent in 2026?
I couldn't tell you, because some of these are 2 or 3 year projects. That's what I'm saying. They'll encumber the funds up front for the entire year project.
Is that something that you could get with Mr. Carbonaro to find out of that $6.8 million, how much he's going to spend in 2026?
I could ask, but I don't know that he would know. I mean, it just depends on how the project goes and the contractors. It's, some of it's weather dependent. It's hard to tell.
Understood. That would be very helpful to council if we could get that information. I mean, you want to ask them, I'll ask them.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Whatever it is, I mean, it's offset by the revenue through the loan. Regardless of how much we expend, there might be a timing issue, like at the end of the year. We might spend something in December. Right. It's in that fiscal year, but we don't get the revenue until the following year.
Understood. So I'm trying to get to the point where if at year end we're at $2.6 million in the hole, right? That's what we're showing right now. But if he's telling us that he's going to spend $4 million in 2027 and 2028, we don't really have a cash flow issue. I don't know how you reconcile your books so you don't show the minus 2.6. But from a cash flow perspective, we would really not really have an issue in 2026. So that's kind of sort of where I'm going with my thought process.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, because we had $4 million in cash at the end of the year, at the end of 25.
Right.
And the point is, I mean, every year we've been spending down on the balance. So we're at the point now, we're at the tipping point. Before, when they stopped all these fees, they froze everything, we were way up here. We had like $18, $20 million in the fund balance. We determined that's more than we needed to carry in there, so they reduced the fees. Well, now it's been going down, 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 down. Now all of a sudden you're down below water level. Now you got to come back up again, and that's where we're at. We got to find the balancing point to where it's not an onerous fee for the people of the city, but it's still enough to cover what we need to do to maintain the system.
Okay, thank you. One other thing I'd like to know is, so we would probably, if we need to increase our rates, we're looking at doing something probably in mid-year or July, August, September, right?
I would hope so,
We would not have a full year's worth of revenue to cover that. So that really puts a pressure on City Council. So I would respectfully ask Mr. Carbonaro if he could give us an idea, because I don't want to jack up the rates just to cover 2026 expenses, and then we don't really need the money in 2027, 2028. I would like to know from him what, if anything, he could postpone until 2027, so we could have a little bit more of a rateable increase.
Gradual, yeah. Well, I believe we have a meeting scheduled for April 6th, and I'm sure that's when we'll be discussing at that point, and I'm sure he'll be prepared.
That is correct.
Okay, well, that'd be great. That'd be great to have.
And Mr. Fallis, to answer your questions, I sent some questions to Mr. Carbonaro.
Yes.
If you would like me to read those questions and his responses, it might be a little enlightening.
I'm all ears, please.
All right.
Proceed.
Okay. I was going to save it for that meeting, but since you're asking the questions now. I asked, how many delinquencies do we currently have? As of December 31st, 2025, the delinquent amount was $2,867,116.07, and the amount remaining to Lorain County was approximately $149,078.67. There are approximately 3,645 accounts delinquent, with a balance around $2.25 million, 30 days or more delinquent. I asked how many disconnections or shutoffs we currently had. They were unable to provide this information, as unless the property is vacant, properties do not sit long periods without water service. They are working to compile a shutoff list, but it changes from week to week. I asked how many total customers within city limits we had, and we have approximately 26,000 in-city customers. How many total customers outside of city limits do we have? We have approximately 800 out-of-city customers. What are the fixed costs per bill? For example, trash, readiness to serve, EPA compliance, etc. The trash per Public Services is $21.35. The water fixed charge is $9. The sewer fixed charge is $9. The stormwater per the engineering department is $7. Do we have a 10-year scheduled forecast of rates? Utilities can run multiple projections dependent on the rates chosen for the future. These projections are currently out to 2040, however, many things can change by then. So, are we planning on raising the water rates? This will be dependent on future approved projects. Currently, the Water Fund has approximately $20 million in reserves, but with increased maintenance needed at the water purification plant as well as regulatory mandates for water lines, this amount is decreasing on an annual basis by the range of $1 to $2 million per year. Our solutions are to either raise rates or get more customers. What are we doing to actively get more customers? Utilities is always working to bring new customers within our ability to do so. For a more detailed response, I would defer this question to the administration and our Building, Housing, Planning, Economic Development Department on the processes for new customers coming into the city that require water or sewer service. Since the PQM plant is operating at one-third capacity, are we currently talking to the county commissioners or neighboring communities to partner with them in a sort of regionalization of services in order to save us and them money? And he said, I would defer this question to the administration as this may fall more within their scope of authority and negotiation ability. I can say that at this time, the Utilities Department has not been contacted by anyone from Lorain County, though we do hold an existing agreement for large swaths of property in Amherst and New Russia Township for wastewater treatment services. Does that answer some of your questions?
Well,
I will forward this to you, and I will make sure that everybody on council has this. I received it today.
yeah, I just don't have the questions I gave to Anita, so if she'd be so kind as to send
I'll
this over
forward it
to,
I will forward this to her as well.
Perfect, thank you. Well, yeah, I'd like to see that, if you could forward that to council as well.
I'm happy to
Appreciate
do
that.
so.
Thank you.
I'll make sure that the clerks have it before we leave here tonight.
Thank you so much.
Is there anything else from anybody on council? From the administration? Mr. Carrion.
Yeah, thank you, through the chair, to members of council and the public. We also did receive the same correspondence today, and in further having a conversation with Mr. Carbonaro, he did clarify a few items that we had requested of him. For example, in terms of the delinquent amount, over $2 million are delinquent. We had suggested perhaps addressing this to the Attorney General's office. Mr. Carbonaro learned that they will not pursue these type of utility charges. They will go after folks for other type of delinquencies, but utilities are not part of the work that they do. So perhaps a conversation that we could have, that we have been discussing, is perhaps hiring a third-party source that can go after some of these delinquent accounts, because that number is quite excessive. As was stated here by the Madam Chair, is that there will be a meeting on April 6th. It's a committee meeting, and we will have some in-depth conversations that will begin at that point to discuss further revenue, expenditures, capital projects, perhaps the phasing of projects, and then also different options that we can address some of the needs that are impacting the folks that live in this community. For those that have challenges financially, and those that are seniors, perhaps consider some of these homestead or golden age programs that I do believe we have in place now to see how it can tie in to be affordable for all here. So this is going to be a long process for us to work on. I think the Madam Chair set this right. In terms of the budget, this is everyone's collective budget. I've been here for many years and referred to this as council's budget, the mayor's budget, everybody else's budget. But understanding the mayor can control the departments that fall under the mayor's jurisdiction. There are many elected officials that have an impact on the general fund that the administration really has no control. So we have to, all of us, take ownership, work on this repeatedly, to keep track of our budget performance report monthly to make sure that we are trending in the right direction. One point that I like to make out in terms of how we can bring additional revenue in is the project that we just discussed before, the housing. What we have seen over the last 3 or 4 years is that the revenue in our city has continued to rise. It was $36 million or $35 million 6-7 years ago. We are at $42-43 million. From what we have conducted our studies, it shows that the large number of housing units on the west side has a lot to do with this. These folks are spending $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 per home, and they have a good solid income to support that expenditure, and we are seeing that as a rise. So in addition to our continual quest to bring businesses, providing housing is another great source for the city to raise the revenue numbers. So we're going to continue to do so. This project here that was presented before is one. There are at least another 4 that are in the works for this year that are going to be similar to this, that will help. But we're also very aggressively pursuing economic development and jobs that will bring meaningful income and also a need for folks to use water and services from the city.
Thank you, Mr. Carrion. Yes, it's important to realize that, and I do hope that my suggestion will be acted upon with New Russia Township, Amherst Township, and Brownholme Township, because it's my understanding that the commissioners want to put in a new sewer system there, and it really will be necessary because we certainly have more than enough capability to address their needs, and it would be much more cost effective for them to tie into PQM at this time. So I'm very hopeful on that, and I trust that you will spearhead that. Thank you. Ms. Gonzalez, you have your light on?
Do we know of any grant money or nonprofits that can help with some of the people that are behind? I know there are some nonprofits that help with things like, behind people that are behind on your utilities, but do we know of anything that we can go towards or, to help out with all the people that are behind on there, but they're behind for a reason, clearly?
I, not being a member of that committee offhand, I don't know of any of these programs, and it might come under federal programs. I'm sure that Mr. Carrion would be able to get us that information or somebody from his office. So he's already agreed that he will get that, and so we will look forward to receiving that answer. Ms. Harper?
One note, $25,000 of the Energy Harbor Community Grant that we get annually goes toward helping people with their utility bills. And I think we have an agreement with Lorain County Urban League. Is that who it is? Yeah. So we do contribute. United.
Oh, it's with United. Yeah.
I couldn't remember exactly what the entity was, but yeah, we do contribute $25,000 a year toward being able to help people with their utility bills. That's exactly what that's designated for, in addition to other funds they may have.
Anything else, Ms. Gonzalez?
I'd just be interested in finding out about, any federal, county, state, any kind of programs like that could help with this.
Thank you. Mr. Dallas, your light's on?
Yeah, through the chair to perhaps the administration or to Anita. How could our residents learn about this money that's available through the Energy Harbor Community Grant? Never heard of that before. Is it on a website, or if somebody needs some help with paying?
If it is administered through the United Way, then that would be the place to go to get that information, or the water department.
Yeah. So it is administered.
Mr. Carrion,
it is administered through the United Way. I didn't catch that.
That's what Ms. Garcia had said.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we can certainly follow up and provide that information. I know there were several programs. At one point, the Urban League did have a program during COVID that the city provided funding for. The United Way also has a program, El Centro, and some of the other nonprofits do have programs available to help folks that are in the arrears with their utility bills to help them get caught up. Building, Housing, and Planning at one point was promoting that information to the city's website. But we can get the full list. There is a list, and there's a correlation in place. And what I think it's also important for us to bring back to council is to determine, based on that delinquency of $2.25 million, how many of those are 31 days and over, how many of those are delinquencies that have been almost like written off, that folks are no longer living in those units, because we do have some of those as well. So for us, is to really understand how does that $2 million plus delinquency ties into folks that are actively staying in those units through the landlords, and how many of those are well past, the 30-day to perhaps a year in terms of being delinquent with the city. Because that number has been a steady number now for about 3 or 4 years, that $2 million delinquency. So I'm assuming that some of those are older delinquencies.
Okay. Thanks, Mr. Ray. I look forward to receiving that information from you, so we can have that in hand for our constituents. Thanks for that information.
And if I can just add more to Mr. Darcy's email, in terms of the disconnections that the city has, we did speak, Madam Auditor and myself spoke with Mr. Carbonero. He says they typically experience about 20 to 30 shutoffs a week. So we're looking at anywhere between 80 to 100 plus shutoffs per week is what we are experiencing at the moment.
But those are usually reconnected rather quick, within a couple of days. So we do need to point that out. That
is correct.
It is spurring people on to come in and make arrangements. Because if they don't make the arrangements, we don't know they need the help. Ms. Kempson, your light's on.
Yes, through the chair. I have a question about what you were saying about the delinquencies for somebody who might be passed or may have just abandoned the house. Being at the demo board meetings, often there'll be a house that's just, we're getting ready to demo it because somebody died and nobody wanted it. If that house has a bill attached to it, what are we doing? Are we just writing it off? Or, I mean, is it sitting in that number sitting in an account someplace? What happens?
Yeah, through the chair, to Councilman Kempton, I don't have an exact answer for that. I will find out for you.
I believe at that point it is linked to the property through the county. And it becomes part of the back taxes and other things, because also in a lot of cases the demolition costs will be attached to that property. It's all assessed. So we'll get you, I'll make sure you get an answer on that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Is there anything else from members of council? Anything from the administration or Ms. Harper?
You're going to get tired from hearing me.
Not at all. You are the guru here.
I did have one additional request between the time that we met the last time and now. Water pollution and engineering would like an additional $50,000 appropriated in the operation, maintenance, and repair sewer fund. That's the fund we have money set aside for emergency repairs. They need to do another $50,000 repair on a wall along the Black River, and they asked that I would include that in the appropriations if it's amenable to council. Obviously, I don't have a dog in that other than requesting the money for them.
Thank you.
That would also, it would still leave a balance in that fund of $1.4 million. So,
thank you very much. Seeing nothing from council or from the administration, I will go to the public. Are there any comments? Oh dear.
Tom Spanowski, 2122 Skyline, Lorain. You just mentioned something about additional appropriations to shore up something in the Black River. Can you explain further on that? Who sponsored that? When did that come up?
That came up as an email request to me and asked if they had an additional $50,000 available in that fund for an emergency repair along the Black River. I don't have any other details.
Well, when they talk about the repair, I'd like some answers on what those repairs might be and what they're going to buy that they need $50,000. Whether that's stones or
it's my understanding that went to Board of Control this week, or they were going to submit it to Board of Control. Engineering was going to submit that request, so I'm not sure exactly what the project is.
Mr. Williams, you have that answer?
Sure, yes. There's a project at the Harbor Yacht Club, which we own that, and they lease from us. There's the sidewalk is in disrepair in the parking lot adjacent to it, but this is mainly to support the wall that's inside the retaining wall, and it's the concrete work that's there. So it is, yeah.
Will the reinforcement be done from the water side of the...
On both. So on the interior, from the water side, there's a lot of erosion in that wall there. If you look, you'll see the fence is dilapidated. The rotting of the wall, based on even how the fence was placed inside the concrete. So they're going to redesign that. We're going to concrete sidewalk that actually the fence sits on. So it is a safety issue, and We've been looking at this for over a year and determined that this would be the best time to do it. Also, we're doing it in cooperation with Mr. Kaufman, who runs the site. So before they get the new docks in place and they bring in all the boats, this is something that will be done hopefully within the next few weeks.
Well, when we consider reinforcement from the outside, from the water side, would that restrict some of the heavier boat traffic that uses that? I mean, why not repair the wall and put the money in repairing the retaining wall or fix the sidewalks? That's not a problem, but why wouldn't you just repair the wall?
I think you're referring to the repairs that are going on down at Hot Waters and that, which is a different location than this one. It's not the same way they're putting in the rocks, the slag, to shore up that wall that's collapsing.
But my concern is mainly the rocks from the water side of the reinforcement.
This isn't that project. This is not the same thing.
Yeah, I would caution against the reinforcement too with the Hot Waters project.
We will be having the utilities meeting on April 6th, and I've just written it down to make sure that that is a question that I will email to them so that we have an answer at that meeting.
Just so you know, so this is the yacht club, which is right next to the old Coast Guard building.
Yeah.
Yep, it's that area right there.
Yeah, it's a different location. I know what you're referring to.
Yeah, just be careful with the reinforcement, you know.
Right, because it can hamstring us for future endeavors. Is there anything else from the administration? Going back to council? Ms. Harper, did you have anything else?
All I really need to know at this point is if we're good with all the changes that were made to the budget. So I can, the reason I need to know is because I need to redo the ordinance with the amendments that were added last meeting to represent it to council with the correct numbers. I just need to finalize those numbers before I can resubmit.
I think that would be advisable. Mr. Dallas, you just turned your light back on?
Yeah.
Wait a second, I haven't turned your light and I haven't turned your mic on, so.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, what I wanted to say ties into what Anita just said. So I would say that any items that we've spoken of prior to today in terms of adding things to the budget, I would be in favor of that. I also would be in favor of the two items you presented tonight of $50,000 for those to be added to the budget to present to the council for approval. So, yes. There's one item for 50? Okay, I misunderstood. I thought it was two for 50.
No.
Okay, the one for 50. So I would be in favor of adding tonight's one proposal for 50 and everything else we've talked about and that other departments have asked for increases in their appropriations over our last couple meetings. I would be in favor of that as well. So perhaps the other council members could chime in so we can give you some sort of direction on how to proceed. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for that, Mr. Dallas, because given the fact that we are looking at raising sewer rates, we may have no alternative because of the need to get rid of the deficit on that. I would have any concerns going forward. I had something today about utilities personnel additions and proposed adjusted amounts, and from the get-go, I've been asking for a freeze on hiring and on wage increases. We cannot look at wage increases for people in departments. Yes, we value your work, we value you as people, and we value what you do. But when we are looking at raising the rates on the sewer, and probably there'll be water following along with that. That is something that's out of council's purview. We cannot do that in good conscience when the residents of this city are trying to budget themselves, and a lot of them are it's evidenced by the delinquencies that we've got and the shut-offs. We cannot, in good conscience, keep giving out raises. We have got to cut expenses as much as possible going forward so that we don't have to keep doing this. I don't want to see anybody get laid off, but we have got to get the costs reined in. We're going into negotiations. We don't know what that is going to mean for us. And like I said, with the shortfall and trying to make this up so that we can balance this budget, we have to be very, very cognizant of that. But I would need a motion from somebody. Can I make a motion on it? Okay, I'm going to make a motion that we send this to council for a special call for approval, and that we ask the auditor to please revise this to reflect what was done here today and in the previous council meeting. Do I have a second on that? I need to have somebody from the committee, so I'm going to have to go to Mr. Fallis.
Yeah, I'll support that motion.
Thank you so much. Everybody all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
I have one more thing I wanted to share.
Go for it.
Last week we had a ratings call with Moody's in conjunction with the bond sale we are doing. Moody's confirmed our rating at an A2, and that means we are doing very well. Thank you very much.
Actually, I need to thank you for your efforts on that.
No, it's not just me. Okay, this is the summary. The City of Lorain A2 credit profile reflects its proximity to Cleveland with ongoing waterfront and downtown redevelopment, supporting a rebound in assessed valuation. Financial performance is supported by strong income tax growth and solid reserves, offset by somewhat elevated long-term liability and fixed cost ratios. So in their matrix that they do to issue our bond rating, we actually came in at an A1 based on their parameters, but they gave us an A2 rating just to be on the conservative side. So just to let everybody know, we're actually doing okay. I did the analysis, and our income tax collections have actually increased 23% since 2021, just to give you an idea how our growth has been, which is very impressive, I think. And one other thing, I don't know if Robin wants to toot their horn on the HUD stuff. Robin, I'm going to let you, come on. Come to mama.
Oh, Robin, come on down. You can just state your name for the members of the audience.
Okay, I'm Robin Daly. I'm the comptroller for Building, Housing, and Planning. Last week, we got released from all of our special conditions from HUD. We no longer have to basically get pre-approval with them to do any of our HUD-funded projects any longer.
And how long did this take us?
We've been dealing with this for 10 years, maybe. So we've put a lot of work into fixing problems that we no longer will have.
Well done. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Yep, I thought that was worth mentioning.
Very much so.
Yeah, that's the program that we had to pay out of the general fund up front and then get reimbursed to HUD. So that's eliminated now. We don't have to worry about that anymore.
It helps a lot in going forward. Mr. President, did you have anything?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through the chair, once again, I'd like to thank you for conducting this meeting this evening. Our chair was unavailable, but that's why we have a vice chair also. Just a couple comments, starting with Ms. Harper when she, opened the meeting and gave us a report and what I would consider creative financing, that holding off for about 3 months, giving us council time to really discuss, and I think Mr. Fallis and Madam Chair, you also discussed that about, do we run out and raise rates and then we find out we have quite a bit of money like we did back a few years ago. So I think that's some just cautious conservatism. I consider myself fiscally conservative. I am a Democrat, but I consider myself conservative from the financial standpoint, and that I've always said before council here, if we got the money, we'll spend it. If we don't, we can't spend it. I've learned that all through my life, starting as a kid with my family, and then later on with the family. If, there's needs and there's wants, are we going to eat first before we go on vacation? You know what I'm talking about. So I'm glad to see that our council here is very conservative in that aspect. In reference to, once again, Ms. Harper, about how we could, once again, cover some of our expenses without having to really step off that ledge yet. And also, as long as council here, and I know we have 5 new council people, which is great. A lot of us have gone through this before. It's not a very happy scenario. I know people sitting on the audience, department chairs, yourselves, you've been in those days when we had to make bricks out of mortar and we didn't have any straw. Those are tough times. But we've been very conservative, we've been very fortunate, and we've been very cognizant. So as Ms. Springowski stated, once again, council is not involved in negotiations, but we would hope that the administration and the departments, the employees, we don't have to go through what's unfortunately a real tough scenario right now in Lorain City schools, where they're having to have a lot of people lose their jobs. There's not money there, so we don't want to go down that road. I firmly believe the council here is trying to do our best as the stewards, but also, as we said earlier, this budget is everybody's budget, administration, council, and the public. So, the mayor, excuse me. So, yeah, we got to work together. We don't want to see anybody out in the street. We don't want to see anybody's health care cut. On the same token, if we don't have money for raises, we just can't do it. Maybe postpone it, whatever. Like I said, it's a negotiation. I realize that. But hopefully we'll be optimistic. Ms. Harper gave us some optimistic reports here. And that public hearing we had earlier this evening, about having more development coming in, generating more economic development here. So try to stay positive, but also stay realistic. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Arredondo. Ms. Harper?
Just one more comment. So we have a meeting April 6th to start the discussion on the water and sewer rates. April 13th, I believe, is our first meeting for a review of the finances. So that'll be our first look-see for the first quarter. See how we're doing. We'll have our first. We should have our first distribution in from the county for our real estate taxes, and then my plan is the subsequent 3 months, like say in July when we look at the 6 month, that's when I'm really going to start focusing in on what progress has been made on the water pollution control rates and how the revenue's coming in and whether I need to adjust my revenue estimates down and whether funds need to be de-appropriated. So the first step is going to be April. We'll start taking a look at it, and then after that second 3 month period, then I think we should be a lot closer to having a handle on what we're going to do with the rates, what the potential income is going to be from them, what other measures we can take to offset that without having to increase rates. Because one thing I've noticed over the 26 years is usually we appropriate more funds than we actually need. So Joe's pretty good about staying under budget for what he appropriates. So I fully expect that he's not going to expend the entire last dollar of every appropriation he has either. So it's going to be a compensating offset of revenue and expense. So that's kind of my plan.
Thank you, Ms. Harper. Mr. Nutt, did you have anything? Because you've sat in this seat and you're looking at it from an entirely different point of view now.
Oh, you guys are doing great.
You're staying out of this one. Mr. Carrion, did you have anything else from the administration?
Yes, one comment that I think I need to reiterate, and it's not only from the position that I'm serving now, but from my prior position, and I said it before, we need to remind ourselves to always place the I before the E, the intellect before the emotion. You know, in the last couple of years that I've been here, there was projections to have a $7 million deficit, then a $5 million deficit. And both years we did not come close to that. So I like this approach. Let's meet regularly. This is a living and a breathing document that we have here with our budget, but I think collectively, as we continue to examine the revenues each month, the expenditures, and as Councilman Fallis stated, which I think he's made a great point, in terms of our planned expenditures, what expenditures to be delayed so it doesn't have a negative impact on our budget. And I think as we continue to look at that, we look at our collective bargaining agreements, which we're going through, and be mindful of that as we continue to look at our budget. I think that'll get us to where we need to be. We were fairly confident with that 23% increase in revenue and income tax over the last 5-6 years, and we see that continue to grow at that steady pace. But we have to be very mindful of our expenditures. That's where we can flip the table over the course of 3 months to 6 months. So we have to be very dedicated to meet regularly, talk to our managers, and ensure that everybody's moving in the same direction. But I think I'm encouraged by where we are now, and I'm encouraged where I believe we're going to be here this year.
Thank you, Mr. Carrion. And for the record, I have sent out the email with the questions and answers from Mr. Carbonaro to all of council, to Ms. Harper, Mr. Nutt. Of course, the administration was in on that, and to the clerks of council. So it is available if anybody has any questions about what I asked and what the answers were. So they'll have it available. Anybody else? Seeing nothing, this meeting is adjourned.